before dawn had ever touched the earth, before cities rose from the dust or kings carved their names into stone, there was only the endless sea of chaos. From that primordial abyss came the first great beings, the Anunnaki, the offspring of Anu, ruler of the heavens. They were not simply gods in the eyes of the ancient Sumerians. They were the architects of order, guardians of cosmic law, and keepers of knowledge so vast that mortals could scarcely imagine it. For countless ages they dwelled beyond the sky, in realms where time flowed differently, watching the newborn earth churn with volcanoes, raging oceans, and violent storms. Among them were Enlil, lord of the winds and authority; Enki, master of wisdom, water, and hidden knowledge; Ninhursag, the great mother and giver of life; and Utu, whose blazing light would one day become the sun that watched over humanity. When the earth finally cooled and rivers began carving paths through the land, the Anunnaki descended. The fertile plains between the Tigris and Euphrates became their chosen domain. There they established magnificent cities unlike anything the world had ever known: Eridu, Uruk, Nippur, Lagash. Towering temples reached toward the heavens, their shining tops reflecting the stars from which the gods had come. Every brick was laid with purpose, every canal carved with mathematical precision. Yet even divine beings grew weary. The lesser gods, known as the Ijigi, were burdened with endless labor. They dug irrigation canals beneath the scorching sun, built walls of immense size, and cultivated fields that stretched beyond the horizon. Their work never ended. Year after year they toiled until resentment consumed them. One night they laid down their tools, surrounded the house of Enlil, and demanded freedom. The council of the Anunnaki gathered in silence. The rebellion could not be ignored. It was then that Enki, whose mind always searched for solutions no one else could see, spoke of creating a new being, one capable of thought, strength, and labor. Ninhursag mixed clay from the earth with the divine essence of an immortal. Through sacred rituals she shaped the first humans. They were fragile compared to the gods, yet possessed something unexpected: curiosity, imagination, and hope. Humanity spread across the valleys like wild grass after spring rain. They built homes, learned language, and cultivated the fields once worked by the Ijigi. The gods watched as villages became cities and fires illuminated the night. Enki admired humanity's hunger for knowledge and secretly taught them farming, architecture, astronomy, medicine, and writing. Under his guidance, civilization blossomed. But not all the Anunnaki welcomed mankind's rapid rise. Enlil believed humans had become too numerous and too noisy. Their prayers echoed constantly toward the heavens, disturbing the peace of the gods. He feared they would forget their place and challenge divine authority. The debates within the council grew fierce. Some wished to nurture humanity, while others argued for destruction. Legends tell of droughts, famine, and disease sent to reduce the growing population. Each time, Enki quietly revealed ways for humanity to survive. He whispered to priests through dreams, inspired healers to find remedies, and taught farmers how to preserve food through harsh seasons. Finally, Enlil made a terrible decision. A flood unlike any before would wash across the earth and erase mankind forever. The heavens darkened. Rain fell without ceasing. Rivers burst beyond their banks as oceans swallowed the land. Mountains disappeared beneath waves. Yet Enki could not bear to watch humanity perish. Though forbidden from warning anyone directly, he spoke to a faithful man named Ziusudra through the reeds of his humble hut. "Build a great vessel," the voice whispered. "Seal it with pitch. Gather your family, animals, and the seeds of every living plant." Ziusudra obeyed without fully understanding why. When the waters finally came, entire kingdoms vanished beneath the sea. Great temples crumbled. Mighty cities disappeared forever beneath layers of mud. For days that seemed like years, the vessel drifted across an endless ocean until at last the storm ceased. The sun broke through the clouds, and the ark came to rest upon high ground. The surviving humans stepped into a changed world. The Anunnaki looked upon them with mixed emotions. Enlil, at first furious that anyone had survived, eventually softened when he saw humanity's determination to begin again. Enki's compassion had preserved not only a family, but the future of civilization itself. Generations passed. Humanity rebuilt. Kings claimed the gods had granted them the right to rule. Massive ziggurats rose toward the heavens, serving as bridges between earth and the divine realm. Priests carefully observed the movements of the stars, believing the Anunnaki still guided the destiny of nations from above. Then, as mysteriously as they had arrived, the Anunnaki gradually withdrew from the affairs of mankind. Some stories claimed they returned to the heavens. Others insisted they retreated beneath sacred mountains or into hidden realms beyond mortal reach. Their temples remained, but the voices that once echoed within them fell silent. Centuries turned into millennia. Empires rose and collapsed into dust. Languages changed. The names of the ancient gods faded into myth, preserved only on fragile clay tablets buried beneath forgotten cities. Archaeologists would one day uncover those tablets, piecing together fragments of stories written over 4,000 years ago, stories of heavenly rulers, great floods, and the birth of civilization. Today, the Anunnaki remain one of history's greatest mysteries. To historians, they are central figures in ancient Mesopotamian religion, representing the powerful deities worshipped by the Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. To others, they have become the subject of modern speculation, with theories suggesting they were advanced beings or visitors from the stars who shaped early humanity. No evidence confirms those modern claims, but the fascination endures. Whether remembered as gods, symbols, or legends carried across thousands of years, the story of the Anunnaki continues to captivate the imagination, a reminder that humanity has always looked to the heavens, searching for answers about where we came from, who taught us to build civilizations, and whether someone, somewhere beyond the stars, has been watching since the very beginning.